Hey everybody, Cam from Brennan Media here, down by the lovely Fox River. Those are some geese flying overhead. They didn't poop on me. All right, that means it's a good time to take a look at the more advanced features in your iPhone's camera app. Let's dive in.
So, all right, up next, we're going to talk about Apple ProRAW. You'll see in the upper left-hand corner of my screen here, it says RAW Max. I can turn that on, turn that off. We talked about this in settings in our last video, but essentially what Apple ProRAW does is it combines the information of a standard RAW format along with iPhone image processing to offer what Apple says is additional creative control when you make adjustments to exposure, color, and white balance. It's also available on all three of the lenses on the back and the front-facing camera, so your selfies look more epic. But oddly, it's not supported in the portrait mode, and I think that's because of that weird fake shallow depth of field that's going on. And you can get your RAW photos in 12 megapixel, 48 megapixel, or HEIF 48 megapixels. And these will result in higher file sizes than normal photos. But my friends, it is so very worth it because you'll get all the extra information you need so that in editing you can make your photos pop. You're going to get higher dynamic range, which means lighter lights, darker darks, better colors. And frankly, this would be a decent picture if it weren't for that dumb power line right there. But anyways, RAW mode. You should use it.
Next up, we're going to look at some more of the hands-on controls. On the left side of the screen, right in the middle, you'll see what looks like an arrow pointing left. If you tap on that, it'll open up a little menu here, I guess, of options on the right-hand side next to the shutter button. First up is the flash, which right now is off. You have options for auto, on, or off. We're going to keep it off because it's daytime. Then you've got the live photo button, which is also available in the top left corner. It's this guy here. If you turn live photos on, it's going to turn max off, or RAW max, and we want RAW max on, so we're going to turn that off, leave it like that. Next up is the 4:3 button, which is your aspect ratio option. So you've got 4:3, which is in now square or 1:1. And then you've also got 16:9, which is wide, and you can see how it kind of punches in there to get that different aspect ratio. I'm stuck with 4:3. Up next is your exposure compensation, which is this little plus minus guy right here. And this adjusts your overall exposure, and it changes your shutter speed and your ISO. So if you're like, this doesn't really matter so much in photos, unless you're trying to get a very, very specific shutter speed for either showing motion blur like it shows slow shutter speed, or a really, really fast shutter speed because you're trying to catch a quick action like in a basketball game or whatever. But again, you just raise it up, it's going to increase the exposure. You raise it or lower it down, it's going to lower the exposure. This is the other way to do that, is to tap and drag on the sun. So you've got two different ways to control your exposure. Next up is timer. And you got 3 second, 5 second, 10 second. This is great if you want to take a group shot but don't have anyone to hold the phone, or if you want to take a selfie that doesn't look like a selfie. You can hit the timer, run to your spot, take your own picture, boom. That's that. Up here, we've got some built-in filters, vivid, warm. So this just amps the color a bit. Dramatic adds more contrast. And then, of course, you got warm and cool versions of all of these. And that's just messing with the white balance. And then you've got three different black and white options: a contrasty one, a silver washed out one, and then like a classic black and white. I don't use any of those. I just use original because in my edits are going to look better than those because I have better options in Lightroom. Now, one thing that's hiding here, because we have RAW max on, if we turn that off, then this little guy shows up, and that's photographic styles, which is newish, and you can customize these in the camera settings so that it's always exactly the tone and the warmth are exactly what you want for each of these. So the presets are not editable. These are, and so you can set these to be however you want, if, of course, you want to use them. And I don't. I want to shoot in RAW max. But those are the options there. And then last but not least is auto exposure and autofocus lock. So usually you just tap what you want to have in focus and be exposed, tap around like that. But if you tap and hold, it'll say AEAF, so auto exposure, autofocus locked. Now, no matter what I do with my camera, it's always going to be locked exposure and focus on that point, which can be useful in certain situations. All right, so we've been looking at everything that's in the standard photo mode right here, as you'll see next to the shutter button, but we've also got what's called portrait mode. And this is for taking pictures of people. Obviously, it's portrait mode. It adds in a fake depth of field here. I'll go stand in front of the camera so you guys can see. Hello. Hopefully it's not too windy. And hopefully that did the trick. It adds in a fake bokeh effect or shallow depth of field, in layman's terms, background blur. You can control that and the focal point while you're shooting. And here's the cool part. After the photo is taken in editing mode, you can change the focal point and you can change the level of depth of field. So here, let's do this. All right, let's take a picture. All right, so I took a photo in portrait mode, and if I go into edit it, you'll see in portrait mode, I can change the f-stop, well, the fake one, and you see the lower the number, the more blurry the background gets, the higher, the more in focus the background gets. So I'm editing this after the point, or after taking the photo, but then I can also adjust the focus area as well. So I can make myself super blurry and the background super crisp, or we can go back to what I intended, which was me. And then, boom, there you go. Now, this is kind of cool because you can fake the look of, a fancy pants DSLR or mirrorless camera with a big fancy lens on it. But oftentimes, if we zoom in, this actually looks pretty good. Sometimes the edges, especially like on longer like wisps of hair, like or like the ears, like the ear will be out of focus. But here, this one actually looks pretty clean. I'm actually kind of surprised at how well that handled. Now, it might be because I'm so far away from what is in the background. Your mileage may vary with how effective this is based on your setting, and it's fun to play with. So let's take a look at some of the other options within portrait mode. So you'll see here in portrait mode, you've got natural light, studio light, contour light, stage, and of course these need to have people in them. You've got black and white as well. I almost always use natural light. Contour light's going to add a little more contrast on your face, like there's an extra light on there. And it defaults to the 2x, but you can obviously, go to 1 or punch into 3, depending, but it defaults to the 2x lens. And now lastly, we're going to look at panoramas. This is the classic, you want to capture the whole mountain range sort of deal. But let's take a panorama of this tree. So what you do is you hit the record button or the shutter button, and then we're just gonna pull up as steadily as we can. Trying to keep, we're doing a really bad job of it here, folks. Trying to keep that arrow on the white line. And the tripod is starting to become a disadvantage at this point. All right, and then we'll stop. And now let's take a look at our creation. Ta-da! We have a really weird picture of the half-dead tree. But you can, a better example would be a panorama of, say, the river behind me. So let's try that. All right, we're going to try this pano of the river. Cue the elevator music. And there we go. A nice picture. Well, again, panos are weird. I don't like them. It's an option. You can use it if you want to. All right, folks, that's it. That's a look at the advanced features in your iPhone's native camera app. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next time to talk about 2 of my favorite third-party camera apps for your iPhone. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time.